Okay, it works. Okay, so I have a question for everybody. So I'm going to be doing Advent of Code, which I started already, but I thought it would be fun to actually just start over and do it live. So the first few I've done already, and so I'll be drawing from some inspiration, but as we get farther into it, I will be sort of flying by the seat of my pants, and my goal is to show one way of implementing these things. Everybody's solution is going to be somewhat different. In fact, that could be vastly different, and I think it's important to also consider the fact that there are no bonus points for things being efficient, or for the code to be done in a functional style, or I think it should be more viewed as a way to practice programming in whatever language and tool set that you want. So there probably will be solutions that I make that I would probably do it again differently if I were to do it a week later. And that's not necessarily bad. It's just a way to practice. And along the way, I am eager to hear feedback from folks who are watching live or watching the replay later. But I do want to ask, just before I get started, I have considered doing this whole thing in Vim, just because I like Vim a lot, and sometimes I get frustrated with Xcode, and I don't write Swift in Vim a lot, and so this would, be an exploration of setting Vim up in a way that works well with Swift. So, if in the chat, if you could say Vim yay or nay on what your preference is, and while I'm waiting on that, I will show my Vim setup just briefly, so I can talk about sort of what I think it might look like. But I am curious to hear what you think about this. So I'm going to open up iTerm, and we'll go into projects, and let me remove this folder because that was just a practice one. We'll make a directory called Advent of Code, and it looks like the font size could be a bit bigger. And what I'm thinking is, here is that I could either do terminal Vim, and for this I'm using NeoVim. But actually, last night I just stumbled across Vim R, which is kind of like Mac Vim, but uses NeoVim under the hood. And what I like about this is it gives you the windowing experience, and you can use the mouse and Command C and Command V and that sort of thing. But it's your Vim setup, and so things that I typically don't use in terminal Vim, like tabs, I find the tab interface to be sort of clunky and not super helpful. I could use that here. So anyway, so this is kind of what I'm thinking. This uses my normal Vim setup. So if I were to do something like import foundation and save this as main.swift, I have syntax highlighting, and I'm doing that with, and I literally just set this up last night, so I'll just show what I'm doing. This is my normal NeoVim setup, and if I scroll down to Swift, I'm using this plugin, swift.vim. So let me open that up. This is a Vim runtime for Swift. It gives you syntax highlighting and indentation, but it also gives you syntactic integration. And syntactic is something that will look for syntax errors and sort of give you, it will give you some errors. So like, for instance, if I say func foo returns a string, and I just save the file like this, actually there's probably, it's not doing it right away. Let's see. Maybe I have to actually open it again. There is a some sort of activation step that you have to that you have to do. Let's see. Actually, now it seems like it's not working. Let's see. Let me go back into here. So I have a lot of commented out experiments in here, so ignore that. Actually, just so in case you're wondering, all of these are on my GitHub under my .files repo. I don't push every single change I make, so it may be a few weeks behind, but the majority of this stuff is in there. Okay, so syntactic Swift checkers. I think it has to be in a Swift package manager project for this to work. I think that's what that means. And so if there's a Swift lint, like .swiftlint YAML file in the root of the repo, or it's a Swift package, then I think it can syntax check that. And then I've remapped a few commands. Leader, which for me is comma. That would be leader SB for Swift build and leader SR for Swift run. And this is some other syntactic stuff that I set up last night. And I think check on open is one, and then check on WQ. So if you're trying to quit, you could have it force you to fix these syntax errors before quitting, which I think would be horrible. Yeah, so we may have to tweak these as we go, but this is the basic of what I have. It's swift.vim from Keith Smiley and the syntactic plugin for that. And I'm using Vim plug, which I actually like quite a bit. Okay, so that is my my Vim setup. Let me quickly turn this into a Swift package. So let me remove main.swift, and we will say Swift package init. Type is executable. And now we have, package.swift, readme, sources, and tests. So I can run Vimmer here. If I go here and just quit, yeah, that one's done. Let me increase the font size, and we'll open up package.swift. Here it is. There was a little bit of a delay there. It seemed like maybe it was crashing or hanging or whatever. And I think that's due to syntactic. So if it turns out to be a pain in the neck, I may just turn it off. Anyway, so that's what we will declare packages. I don't think we'll really do much there. So now it's time to go into sources and main and print hello world. And I'll try the leader SB to Swift build and leader SR to Swift run. And that's basically going to be what I'll be working with. I may open a playground up here and there because sometimes you just want to get sort of a live, what sort of thing does this return? Because I'm not going to be getting any code completion within terminal, and I also won't be able to step in and create breakpoints and stuff like that, at least not yet. We'll see how it goes. If we get to day 5 and things get a little hairy, we may switch to Xcode so we can get that sort of thing going. But we also can open up this Swift package in Xcode just fine. So anyway, I think that's the setup that we're going to use, at least for starters. So with that out of the way, I would like to do day 1 right now. And if there are any questions or suggestions or whatever on the setup, please let me know. Let's go to the first challenge. Okay. So day 1, sonar sweep. You're minding your own business on a ship at sea when the overboard alarm goes off. You rush to see if you can help. Apparently, one of the elves tripped and accidentally sent the sleigh keys flying into the ocean. Before you know it, you're inside a submarine. The elves keep ready for situations like this. It's covered in Christmas lights, because of course it is, and it even has an experimental antenna that should be able to track the keys if you can boost its signal strength high enough. There's a little meter that indicates the antenna's signal by displaying 0 to 50 stars. Your instincts tell you that in order to save Christmas, you'll need to get all 50 stars by December 25th. Sounds reasonable. Collect stars by solving puzzles. 2 puzzles will be made available on each day in the advent calendar. The second puzzle is unlocked when you complete the first. Each puzzle grants 1 star. Good luck. Okay, so as the submarine drops below the surface of the ocean, it automatically performs a sonar sweep of the nearby seafloor. On a small screen, the sonar sweep report, your puzzle input, appears. Each line is a measurement of the seafloor depth as the sweep looks further and further away from the submarine. For example, suppose you had the following report. So this is going to be some input. I'll copy that. This report indicates that scanning outward from the submarine, we have 199, 200, 208, and so on. The first order of business is to figure out how quickly the depth increases, just so you know what you're dealing with. You never know if the keys will get carried into deeper water by an ocean current or a fish or something. To do this, count the number of times a depth measurement increases from the previous measurement. There is no measurement before the first measurement. In the example above, the changes are as follows. So we'll iterate over this and we'll look at the previous number to see if we increase or not, and we'll print out this output. So we can start by doing that, and then we'll have to count how many times it increases. And then in this case, I've already solved this puzzle. I wonder if there's a way for me to start over. I suppose I could, because I don't necessarily want to just do it and not be able to check. I wonder if I should start a new account. That's probably a good idea. I'm going to start a new account, log in, and this time I will authenticate with Twitter instead of... sure, I'll do the NS Screencasts Twitter account. Okay, cool, save. Okay, so yeah, so now I can actually get my own puzzle input. Now, each person's puzzle input is going to be different, and so if you're following along, your puzzle input's going to be different, so your answer will be different. And I'm going to be sufficiently delayed behind the live puzzles that are unlocked, so I don't think there's too much of a problem with streaming my solutions. But okay, so I have the sample input, and most of these puzzles are going to be, they give you some sample input and the answer, and so you can use that to test your results. So I will start off by creating, we can create a day 01 folder. Oops, that's not a folder. Day 01 /. And then inside of there, I will have day1.test, and we will print out our test input. And then day1.swift. Now, it is a little bit weird. I need to be sure that I can read these files that are sort of sitting in here. And there's a couple of ways I can go about this. One of them would be to have sort of a util that can read these files. So for instance, let's say my first order of business is just to read that file. So we'll say day 1, and then inside of here I want to read the file that exists in day 1. And so I want to give a name, and I want to return it to me as a string. So that's my function. Normally you might think of like, oh, I'm going to do bundle.module or bundle.main or whatever. In a Swift package, you can do bundle.module. So we can say path for a resource. And then you could say with name of type or something. But that means that this would have to be a resource bundle. And that means that in my package.swift, I would have to specify that this target has resources in a particular location. That's one option to do that. Another option would just be to say that I'm going to get the directory of this current file. So I can say, let's import file manager, and we can say file manager, sorry, not import file manager, import foundation. And there's syntactic, right? Error in type. It doesn't know what DEFA is. Okay, file manager dot defaults. cannot convert return value to string. So this is what it's talking about. This may end up being super annoying, but I sort of have to, satisfy that before I continue. Okay, so we have. All right, let me take one step back. So what I'm getting at is I can use file to refer to this path here, and I want to chop off the last path component. So what we can do is we can say project URL is equal to URL file URL with path, and pass in the path to the current file, and then say removing last path component. Let's see, URL file URL path, remove last path component maybe. Let's look, remove last, let's look at URL Swift. Goodness gracious. Okay, hang on a sec, this music is terrible. Let's try this one. I will probably be leaning heavily on Dash so that I can grab documentation like this because I'm not getting code completion. So I'm looking for removing last path component. Pending deleting last path component returns a new URL. Okay. Deleting last path component. Okay, so that's going to give me my project URL, and then I can say project. Let's see. Let file URL is project URL appending path component, and we'll pass in the name. And then, yeah, I don't even think we need file manager for this because now we can say let data is data contents of file URL. And this can fail, and I just want it to crash hard if it does. And then we can return string data encoding.utf8. And again, force unwrap. Okay, let's just see if we can print read file day01 day1.test. Try to build it. Let's see, found one file which are unhandled. Yeah, so in this case, it's really confused about this day one test. I wonder if I need to put these in a separate folder. Declare them as resources or exclude them from the target. Okay, let's run it and see. Okay, so it does work, but I want to get rid of this warning. I don't like it. Let's see. In package.swift, let's see. Also not super familiar with how to do this outside of Xcode, so I do think I want to just open package.swift in Xcode so that I can get the code completion for this. So here, I believe in here I can say resources and pass in copy or process. So in this case, we want to copy, and I don't think I can pass in a glob, so I'm going to have to pass in like resources or something like that. Dependencies must, okay, so let's put that here. Okay, and I'm assuming that that would have to go in this folder here, so resources. Let's do lowercase. Okay, and then we will do day1.test inside of here. Okay. So what we can do now, if we do Swift build, and then we look in the build debug folder, we now have this advent of code. And do we have a bundle? We do. So if we look in advent of code _ advent of code .bundle, there's our resources, and there's our test. Now I can still do it the way I was mentioning before. I think you need to use the exclude argument in the target creation. I could, yeah, if I wanted to put that in the same folder, I could put exclude here and exclude certain files, but I don't know, can you exclude globs? Because what I would want to do is say star.test and star.input. That's a good question. Okay, Swift package exclude. Let's see. That's one. Here's documentation. The paths to source. Yeah, I don't think it works with globs. It could be a folder, but what I want to avoid is having to specify each day's input in there. It didn't actually complain about this, so let me actually make a copy of this file and put it in there. Let's see, invalid. Yeah, okay, file not found. Yeah, it doesn't like that at all. So I'm just going to leave it in resources. We'll just dump all of our input in there. Okay, so I think I'm done with Xcode now. Let's go back here. Press R to reload. So now we've got day1.test in the resources folder. And so when I do a read file, it's going to be it's going to be this one, deleting last path component, and then appending path component resources. Yeah. So it's still going to do it based on the source location, which I think is fine when you're running it from here. But if we were to ship this, we would want to use the actual bundle. Let's build, no warnings, and let's run. Couldn't find resources day one test. Okay, so I don't think I need to subfolder those. So let's just do that. Swift build, Swift run. Okay. So now we have a way to put our input in here. Let's put that in util.swift, because I imagine we're going to have lots of those sorts of things. Import foundation. Okay. Yes, I know. We'll write that. Okay. Okay, so what we want to do now in day one, what I want to do is have enum day one here, and then a static func run, so that in my main here I can just say day1.run, and then we can just comment out what we don't want to run. Okay, so I want to get our input, which is going to be read file day1. Did I call it test? Yeah, day1.test, and we need a like a depth scanner. And this is going to give us depths. So let's make an init, which takes in depths, which will be an array of integers. Self.depths is depths. And let's see. We can have a static func parse, which takes in input, which is a string, and returns an instance of self. So we can sort of have our parsing logic separate from the initializer. So if we want to, we can initialize it without having a string. So this is going to be input split with the separator being a new line character. And then for each one of those, we want to compact map that to int.init. And we can't do this because it's because when we split a string into separate things, we get a like a substring or something like that. I don't know if this will tell me what it is. Yeah, it doesn't know because it can't find an int initializer that actually does that. But I can map to string.init and then compact map to int.init, and that will give me depths. And then we can return .init depths like that. This is one way to do it. It's a little bit weird because you don't know why you're mapping to string first. So I think it's probably better to do this, where we say int string $0. I don't know. It's hard to know which is better. And then compact map means that because this is a failable initializer, if we get a string that is not a number, this will return nil. Compact map will just filter all of those out. So the depths we get will only be the ones that are valid integers. Okay. Another thing that could be advantageous while we're doing sort of parsing logic is to map the results of this to trimming characters in white spaces. So that for each line, if we go back to the test day1.test, not that one, sorry. Quit. Oops. Let's go do that again. Okay. Day1.swift, and then I go day1.test. Okay, so if each one of these lines, like if there was some white space at the end of it, I don't want that to interfere. And so I think this is a good habit to get into. Just trim all white space around the input and then turn it into an int. Okay, so at this point, we could just print depths, and then here we would say depth scanner.parse input. And if our main.swift is running, it is, so we'll swift build and then we'll swift run. And now we have our depths. Okay. So there's a few ways we could do this. What we want to know is how many times it increases. So we could say that there's a function increase count that returns an int, and then this would do the logic for us. And again, I think this is important also to note that there are many ways we could solve this problem, and some are going to be worse in performance if the next requirement we get is going to be like, oh, now I need to know how many times it decreases or whatever. But we don't know that yet, and the job is not to peek ahead and know. So for now, I think it's just probably a good idea for just iterate over this and figure it out. Now there is something we could take advantage of here in the Swift algorithms package. And what I'm looking for is, can't remember the name of it, adjacent pairs. Lazily iterates over tuples of adjacent elements. So given a range of 1 to 5, when you call adjacent pairs on that, you get 1, 2, and then you get 2, 3, then 3, 4, then 4, 5. This is perfect for what we need. And so I think I want to pull in this package. So just going to copy this package line right here. And then we'll go over to our package.swift. Let's get rid of that. Error, package.swift dependencies. We'll paste that in. And then for our dependencies in here, we will say that we have a dependency on this algorithms product. Let's do a Swift build. it is. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's the syntactic thing that is causing these hangups, because as soon as I added this, I think it went into like this freak out mode. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, so inside of here, we are going to import algorithms. And now I want to, instead of printing out, well, I'll print out depths here. And then I want to print out the adjacent pairs of depths. Can't find adjacent pairs in scope. Where was it? Ah, it's a suffix on a sequence. So from there. Swift build, Swift run. Okay, so we have an adjacent pairs collection. It doesn't quite do what we want, or it doesn't print out what I want. Let's see. Can I get some music going on here? Oh. Yeah, I guess my own speaker's turned off. Man, free music is always a crapshoot. No. All right. Okay, so we could say take depths and let's just increase. So we'll say for pair in depths dot adjacent pairs, and then we'll print out the pair dot zero. Here, pair dot zero, and then pair dot one here. Okay, so now when we're running it, we'll say scanner is there, and we can scanner dot increase count. And then we could say depth increased that many times. Okay, build. Oops, run. So this gives us exactly what we want. Oops, I don't know what I did there. I guess I can't click on this window. That's weird. Yeah, so this gives us exactly what I want, and so now I can say that it increased from the previous one or decreased from the previous one. So if we want to keep the output, which I think I do, then a for loop is simple enough. But it's also worth noting that I could do this like sort of functionally and say depths.adjacent pairs, then map this results to the difference. And so I could say $0.1 minus $0.0. So take the second depth and minus the first. So that'll give us the difference between the two depths. And then we can filter out any that are less than 0. And then we can, so that should give us, so we have integers coming here, which is that, then this, and then at this point now we just need to count how many are left. I think that would work actually. This would need to be $0 less than 0. And but the problem with this is I don't get the iteration. I suppose I could just do this and then return this one, even though I'm sort of iterating twice. I don't know. I kind of like how clean this solution is, but it also might be nice to say, to give yourself some debug output. So I don't know. Depth increased 2 times. That's not correct. So we did pair.1 minus pair.0. So that would be 1. And then I want to filter all of the ones that are actually, sorry, greater than 0. Yeah, depth increased 7 times. So this one's correct. Okay, so now if we go back to the puzzle, yeah, so sort of depends on if we want to show the output like this. Maybe in later puzzles we were, but we'll get our puzzle input. And so as you can see, like the puzzle input is huge and it's unique to each person. So here we'll have to go to resources and we'll say day1.input. Paste that in. Then go back over to day 1. And here we will say day1.input. And we'll do Swift build and we'll do Swift run. Okay, depth increase 1475 times. I don't like the fact I can't copy that result. I need to know how to reopen output window. Okay, so we can run commands. The command output is not displayed in a Vim window, so can't be accessed with Vim's powerful editing tools. The easy fix was the read bang command, which inserts output into the current window. Oh, I didn't know that. Possibly more sophisticated solution is to make a new Vim command which opens a scratch buffer with the output of a shell command. Command bang, complete shell command, run shell command. Yeah, I'm probably not going to mess with this right now, but I could... Because my command is leader SR is bang, and here I could say read bang Swift run carriage return. And I think that's going to put it right where my cursor is if I do this. Save. Did that not work? Let me do that. Yeah. Leader SR. I did something wrong here. Nmap, leader SR, :read. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it puts it right here, which is not fantastic, but we could do it where it puts it in a scratch buffer and opens it, and then I can open that buffer and copy from it. Also worth noting, I can just do Swift run right here and get the result. So I think I'll just do that for now. But I think that my Vim setup could probably evolve as this series goes on. Okay, let's submit that. Okay, you're 1 gold star closer to finding the sleigh key. So then now there's part 2, and I'll do this part and then we'll be done for the day. So considering every single measurement isn't as useful as you expect. There's just too much noise in the data. Instead, consider sums of a 3 measurement sliding window. Again, considering the above example. So 199 is the first reading. It gets put in bucket A. 200 is put in bucket A, and so does 208. So these 3 together start by comparing the first and second 3 measurement windows. The measurements in the first window are marked A, 199, 200, 208. Their sum is 607. Then the second window is marked B, and so then we compare the increased counts of those sliding windows. So this is kind of what I was talking about, that I made the adjacent pairs. Seemed like this was a really great solution, but now my increased count needs to sort of adapt to more than one measurement at a time. So one option, or one way to think about this is, let's say, so one way to think about this is we have 1, 2, 3, and each one of these, it already works with this. So what I'm thinking of is, what if we take our array and we say A, B, C, and then this would be B, C, D, and this would be C, D, E, something like that. So that you sort of reduce the array into this array, and then the adjacent pairs thing already works. That's one option. Another option is to ditch the adjacent pairs thing and just have the window size be a parameter here, and start it off at 1. That, to me, seems like the most straightforward approach. Yeah, so what we would do is we'd loop over each element along with the index so that we could get previous indexes. So we would say depths for I in depths. No, sorry. This would be index and depth in depths dot enumerated, and I'm pretty sure that we get this is a horrible example. N and C. C is the character, N is the number. Okay. Yeah, so index is first, then the depth. So we would have something like the current window sum, maybe, is 0. We'd have an increase count, which should be 0, and we'd have a last window sum, which would be 0. Maybe something like that. Though I do kind of like the depth adjacent pairs thing. So if I could get this to be an array of all of the windowed sums, that actually makes a lot of sense to me. Window depths or window sums would be an array of ints. Let me try that approach. Okay, so if the index is less than our window size, then we just need to continue, because we can't compute the sum. In fact, I don't even need current window sum if I do this. So at this point, we're past the window size. So that means I can get the window sum, which would be depths for I minus 2 plus depths of I minus 1 plus depth index. So that gives me my first window sum, and then on the following one, we keep going, and we keep grabbing a window sum from every point onward, because if we look at the input here, each one has its own sum. So like the B's, for instance, are these three. Is that right? So we wait until we're here, and then we compute. Yeah, so we start our first sum here, and then from every one after that, we got the sum of the three previous ones. Okay. Let's see. Could I ask the music? Yeah, this music is terrible. That's not a pain at all. I will drop the volume, and honestly, let's find something different. Maybe I just need to pay to have some better music. I do want something playing, but searching for free, royalty-free streaming music is always a crapshoot. Okay. Where is my chat window? There it is. I think it depends on the track. Yeah, some of them were completely silent. Okay. So at this point now we have window sums. I want to assert that window size is greater than 0, just because this would never work if window size was it would just loop over and we'd never get anything. Okay, so at this point now, if we pass in 1, this should still work. We just get a sum of. Oh wait, no, this isn't going to work. This is we need our window size. Yeah. Sorry, this is only going to work for 3. We need our window size to loop over. So we'll say for I in negative window size, so that'd be -3. Well, this would be actually just a lot easier. For I in 0 ... less than window size. So we will grab depths for our current index minus I. So this will be the current one, and then the previous one after that, and then the previous one after that. And then we will do sum there. We could do this without the temporary variable, with a map, maybe. I don't know if I like that any better. It would be something like 0 ... less than window size. We're going to map that to depths of index minus I. And then we need to get the sum of that, which is reduce 0 plus. I don't know. This is like flexing your functional muscles without any real benefit. This is probably easier to understand. Okay, so at a window size of 1, we need this to be -1, don't we? If the index is less than, yeah, because we don't want it to continue. If the index is 0 and the window size is 1, we want to continue there, or we want to like drop down here. So then we'll get the sum, which will be 0 up to the window size. Will it iterate over this if it's only one element? If I do 0 ... less than 1, then I will get 0. Yeah. Okay. And then we'll add the current depth. It's kind of interesting that I don't care about the depth at all here. So what if I say all indices? No, Is it just indices? I think that's probably better because then we don't have that variable we're not using. Okay, so now depths is not what we want. We want window sums dot adjacent pairs. And now I'm going to go back to the test input. And when we say increase count, this time we're going to say window size is 3. Let's do a build. We'll run it. Oh, I screwed up my... let me get rid of that. Yeah. Okay, Swift build, Swift run. 607, 618. Let's see. In this one, okay, so I have something wrong. 607, 618, 618. It's not increasing, so we want ones that are strictly greater than. No, we did do that. It's counting 2 that shouldn't. So let's quickly do the math here. So this will be pair.1 minus pair.0. Is that right? That seems correct to me. Oh, that's the one. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Depth increase 7 times. How is it finding that out? So here we can map, print out the $0, return $0. Is that going to complain? Int, return int, in. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3. Where is it getting these from? I'm back on a depths adjacent pairs. Yeah, here's another reason why iterating twice really is not it's no good, because I made this mistake already. Okay. Depth increase 5 times. Okay, so now let's go back to our live input, build and run. And this time it increased 1,516 times. Yeah, let's put that in here. Submit. Okay, I got a gold star. So we are done for the day. We will take a look at day 2 next time. I have no idea when that's going to be. I'm going to try to schedule these streams. Well, I'm probably not going to schedule them, so just follow me on Twitter and on Twitch so you know when I'll go live. Possibly could do another one tomorrow. but I do need to probably start doing these a little bit faster so that I can catch up. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me on the stream, and I will see you in the next one.